Okay, there we go. Because I always forget. I just wanted to take a few minutes just to recognize those that, I mean, we're only, what, today's the 19th, and we still have lots of month left in the to go. So I just wanted to recognize the ones that have already achieved rank pay percentage levels increases this month. A 5% level increase goes to Tara Rognus already, Teresa Wendricks, and I always get Scott and Ann's last name messed up. Anna, is it Witzke?
Winsky, yeah.
Okay, I said it right. Okay. Barbara Hollick and Angela Mahon, they all have received a 5% pay increase this month already. So congratulations, everybody. And then the 10% pay increase goes to Melissa Gutierrez, Annette Entz, and Scott Witzke. And then 15% increase was myself and Lori Mishi. So Lori had she must have did a fundraiser or a business order or something. She had a really huge order that came like $3,700. So that was awesome. So congratulations to everybody that's already reached the higher pay level this month. So can't wait for our paychecks to come out in the next couple of days. So anyway, I just want to thank everybody for getting on the call with us tonight, and especially Heather. I know that she's busy, and we were talking before everybody got on the call that she's trying to burn up some vacation time before she either use it or you lose it. So, and she's, as many of y'all know, she's well deserving of this vacation. She's been working her pants off. So we definitely are excited to have you with us tonight, Heather, to share some tips with us and guidance to help us along these last days of the month. So take it away.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to jump into a training. I shared this with the top leaders in the company last week, and offered, Jennifer and I were talking, and offered to come on and do some specific training with you guys as well. And I want to tell you that I'm going to give you some tips that might appear to be this magical way of making things happen in your business. But the reality is that whether you do it when you're a brand new curator or you do it when you're a top leader, like, we all should be doing these activities. And so I'm going to cover just 3 things that make your business successful. And then I'm actually going to give you a very specific plan to take from now until the end of the year that will help you launch your business the strongest way you possibly can. And I've done this before when I was in the field, and it's sort of like, do you guys know those metal balls that swing side to side, and they hit the metal ball and the metal ball, and right? So what that's demonstrating is that momentum, right? It just keeps the momentum going, is what it does. Oftentimes what happens though in our business is we get to that 15th or whatever day we decide to cut off for business. And, you know, with holiday shipping being the 15th, I'm sure most people are wrapped up by the 15th, 16th, 17th, maybe the 18th, but you wrap up your business and you sort of package it all up, clean up your desk and set it to the side. And then comes January 2nd, you know, probably not January 1st because there's a lot of good football to be watched, but January 2nd hits, and that momentum is not happening at the rate that it needs to happen. And it's sort of just a slow start out of the gates. And you and I, all of us know that January is an exciting time. It's right before the launch of the new catalog, which is going to come out March 1st, which will be revealed in February. It's also the double credit month for our hosts. So it's an exciting time to just launch strongly into business. So the last thing you want to do is open up your office door or whatever, sit down at your desk and actually try and create momentum on day 2 of the month. It's just too hard to be behind. And I will encourage you as well, if you are on this call and your downline curators are not able to be on this call, encourage them to come back and watch the recording, or you specifically talk to them about the very specific things that I'm going to encourage you to do, because they work, and they work at whatever level you're committed to doing them. So I'm going to cover that in a few minutes. But the first thing I want to start with is 3 things that I believe with all of my heart make a successful business. And typically, if there's somebody that is not having success with their business, it's one of these 3 things, okay? Just one of these 3 things. And they're very broad, but they have a significant impact. And if we can get all 3 of these things right, sort of like a recipe, then we will be successful. And again, they're encompassing, but stay with me here. So 3 things I'm looking at when someone's struggling with their business. The number 1 thing is consistency. You guys have all heard, you know, it can be done part-time, it can be done full-time, it can be done, you know, on a flexible time. It can be done on a seasonal time, but you can't do your business sometimes, right? And this is a perfect example of a season where people often get to that, I'll just see what the new year brings. And that is the wrong approach. Consistency with anything that you do is going to get you results. You can't just go to the gym, December 1st through the 5th and then expect to be in shape on January 1st. Your business is the same way. You have to consistently work your business. And so for me, I have always coached people, it doesn't matter what your consistency level is, it just has to be consistent. So if it's 2 hours a week, if it's 10 hours a week, if it's 20 hours a week, whatever you put in, you will get out if done correctly. So you just have to decide what level of energy can I consistently give to my business, and then schedule it. Actually schedule it. Oftentimes people don't take things seriously, like hostess coaching, follow-up calls, all of those things that they need to do, and they just haphazardly come across them during their weeks. But the reality is those are income producing activities, and you need to treat them just like as if you had an experience or a party or an event. Like, schedule those in your calendars, treat it like a real business, and consistently work your business. And when you don't feel like it, it doesn't matter, because consistency has to win out if you want to be successful. The second component of a successful business is persistency. And a lot of people in this industry think, well, persistency is pushiness, and it's not. It's completely different. And in fact, if you're one of those people who worries about being pushy, anybody here worry about that? Anybody? Okay. If you are consistently worried about being pushy, I can assure you, you are not a pushy person. I can assure you, right? The pushy people are the ones that almost have no read on how pushy they're actually being. Persistency is persistently doing what you need to do to be successful. It's not being pushy. It's completely different. And we'll address that a little bit more. But you have to be persistent with your business. Most sales, most hosts, most new recruits, none of those typically happen the very first time. But typically, we only ask or offer things 1 to 2 times, if that. And in fact, a brand new curator is probably not even going to do it the first time. They're going to decide inside their head that, hey, I'm not going to ask this person if she wants to book with me, or hey, I'm not going to ask this person if she wants to add this piece to that, to her order, or hey, I'm not going to ask her if she wants any business information. Clearly, she doesn't want to do this business. Most new curators have no idea what it takes to be persistent in this business. And seasoned curators talk themselves out of it almost at the same rate. So you have to persistently do the activities that are necessary, which is offer the additional sales, offer a booking, offer the business opportunity. Pushiness comes when someone says no and you've persistently offered it and you keep pushing it. But to put the offer out there is not pushy whatsoever. But oftentimes we confuse the two and we lose sight of it. So persistency in your business is key. And then the very last component that I'm going to share with you tonight is mindset. And this is like one of Heather Kirton's favorite topics, because I've studied a lot on it and I believe in it. I mean, I believe in it wholeheartedly, like a principle that rules my life. If I don't have the right mindset, it doesn't matter how consistent or persistent I am. Okay. And I'm going to give you an example of this. If I were to ask 10 people to book an experience with me, I know statistically at least 2 of the 10 are going to say yes. So for example, if I'm at a party and there's 10 people there, if I persistently and consistently with the right mindset ask for a booking, statistically I'm going to get 2 of those 10 people to book. But what happens is we might start out pretty consistent and pretty persistent with making the offer, but then sooner or later, if we don't get the yeses that we're looking for, we get set back and we decide, oh, she's not going to say yes. And everything about our countenance, everything about how we're making an offer is declining, right? So you have to think about it as you're brand new and excited about your business and you're putting an offer out there, that same level of enthusiasm and positive expectation of getting a yes eventually, even if it's not that person, has to be there, whether it's person number 1 or person number 10. So if you're consistent, but you've got the wrong mindset, you don't have the formula correct. So you've got to be consistent with your business. You have to persistently put the offers out there, and you've got to always have the right mindset. Always. And if you put those 3 components together, whether it's selling, booking, or recruiting, or even training your team, then you will be successful. So I challenge you tonight, before I launch into the actual action plan, to think about, what is it that I'm missing? What part of that recipe is missing from my business? What is it? Okay. So once you've identified it, that's the first step, right? Once you know, hey, look, I'm not being persistent enough with my follow-up. I'm not being persistent enough offering the business to my hosts. I'm not, whatever it is, I'm not consistently scheduling time every week to work my business or do my follow-up. I'm not consistently asking people if they want to do an experience with me when I'm at an event or a home show, right? So you need to make sure that you decide what piece of that pie that formula, that recipe do I need to focus on? So you don't have to say anything out loud. And if it's all three, circle all three, but make sure you've got those three things down in front of you. Sound good? All right. Okay. So I'm going to jump into the training, actual like specific steps that I'm going to encourage you to take. There's this thing referred to as a business advancement, and that's a really positive way of calling what I used to refer to as a business push. So a business push is how I was taught to do this, right? But an advancement sounds a little more positive. So you call it what you want, but we're going to talk about this actual effort to actually move our businesses forward. Not rocket science. I can guarantee you that what I'm going to share with you tonight are things that you've heard from other curators, or things that you've heard from Jennifer, or things that you've heard from other trainings, but I'm going to put it together in a very distinctive way that you can follow that roadmap and have success, if that makes sense. The thing about it is, it's just like I was talking about, if you consistently follow it and you're persistent about it, it will be successful. And anytime your business gets sort of dried up, or you're frustrated, or maybe you're doing great and you've just earned the Sweet Escapes trip, but you want to get that second ticket, or maybe you're doing great and you're a team leader and you just want to get to senior team leader. Anytime your business needs a little kick of momentum, this activity is what you want to focus on. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to actually have a challenge. My screen just went away. I lost you guys. That was weird. Okay, so we're going to have a challenge, and I'm going to encourage you to work with Jennifer, and hopefully this will be all over the Team Mad page. But from December 26th to December 31st, that is the least activity that tends to take place the entire year across almost every direct selling company. So that time period is usually, again, we've packed up our books, you know, we've set our desk aside for a minute, and we're like, ooh, we deserve this break. And absolutely, we do deserve this break. But if you, again, shut it all down and then try and step in on January 2nd, it's going to be really challenging. So what we want you to do is we want you to decide today, how much time could I possibly give between December 26th and December 31st? And it doesn't have to be a lot of time. It could be 15 minutes for 5 days straight. It can be 30 minutes for 5 days straight. It can be an hour on the first day, an hour on the last day. Whatever it is, you decide how much energy you can put into driving that momentum into your business, right? Again, we're going to push our business forward. We're going to advance it into the new year. So you decide what that looks like for you. If you want to go big in January, I suggest more time. If you're just wanting to keep the momentum going, you decide the amount of time. Again, completely up to you. So you're going to set aside some time, and you're going to decide, how much am I going to invest? I'm going to go through 4 steps for you here. It's going to be December 26th through the 31st. You decide this. You decide your schedule. That's step 1. Step 2 is you're actually going to schedule it and stick to it. So that might look like 9 o'clock a.m. to 10 o'clock or to 10 o'clock a.m., right? Or it might look like 6:30 p.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. Whatever the time schedule is, you're going to schedule it as if it were an appointment in your calendar, and you're going to stick to it, because we're going to practice that consistency piece. Make sense? The other thing you're going to do that I'm going to encourage you to do is I'm going to encourage you to tell someone you're doing it. So you can go out on the Team Mad page and you can post, hey, I'm doing the 26th through the 31st, half hour every day. Here's my schedule. Or call Jennifer up and give her your schedule. Or find someone else within the team that's going to do this challenge and connect with them via text or email or phone call, and hold each other accountable to this actual schedule. If I have an appointment to meet a girlfriend at the gym, I'm not going to flake on her and not show up. If I just have an appointment for myself to show up at the gym, maybe or maybe not, you know, depending on how I'm feeling, especially if it's the holiday season, right? So the point is, if I have someone that I'm accountable to, or I've even stated what I'm going to do, the likelihood that it's going to happen increases greatly. Okay. So you're going to, once again, you're going to decide how much you're going to work. You're going to schedule it. And I encourage you to use an accountability process. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to prepare. Right? So you're going to do 5 days of reach outs. Can be done on Facebook Messenger, text, phone calls, however you want to do it. You're going to do 5 days of reach outs, and you're going to need a game plan. So what does that game plan look like? Well, it's people that you already know that you're going to reach out to, because this time is precious. You don't want to walk in on December 26th and spend an hour trying to figure out who you're going to get a hold of. So this is a great activity to do before you pack up the business and put it away for the Christmas holiday, right? So what would that list look like if I were to reach out to people? Who am I looking to reach out to at this point in the year? And just as a clue, we're going to be talking about double host credit month in January. So who might I just reach out to? Who might be on that list for me?
And you don't need to unmute yourself if y'all have suggestions, everybody. I'll start.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Past curators, people that have been with us before that, you know, maybe they don't have our new product now, and just something that might entice them to maybe want to jump back in with us. So
Yep.
that's booking a party, selling, and maybe sponsoring somebody. So that's my
Yep. So past curators, that's awesome. Or chocolatiers if they haven't been with us since we turned to TCP. Who else?
Past hosts.
Past hosts, love that. What kind of past hosts might I be looking for?
Ones that cancel.
Ones that have canceled. That's an excellent suggestion. So, and I can give you some verbiage on that quickly, but a lot of times when people have canceled on me in the past, I'll be like, hey, I know we didn't get to do that experience back in March, but I just wanted to let you know we've got some great things going on. It just segues nicely into let's get something going because they've canceled on you in the past, right? So someone that's canceled on you, what about someone that's done a month where they got double credit before?
Absolutely.
Right.
I would definitely use it to highlight them as like a VIP. You're reaching out to VIPs that have done this in the past. You're reaching out to them first to offer these special dates to them.
And they know the value of it. Absolutely. Who else? Who else could we reach out to?
Sales leads that you've had.
Thank you. Sales leads that you've had, booking leads that you've had, past people that you've talked to about the business and they just said, no, not right now, but maybe later. What about that person that lives down the street and they're always like, sooner or later, I'm going to do a party with you, but you've never gotten the date? Anybody have those?
Absolutely.
Right? Anybody else you can think of to reach out to?
What about the ones that you've met at vendor events?
Vendor events, that's awesome. Vendor events, referrals, you name it. There's no limit on who you can reach out to. People that you do business with, that's another great group of people to dig into. You can go on social media. I don't want to encourage you to just start snapping into people that you don't know, but you can go on Facebook as a quick reminder of people that you do know that you haven't reached out to. The way Facebook works, the algorithm is if you don't comment on people's stuff, you tend to not see them anymore, so you might forget about them. So run through your friends list and take a look. Pop your cell phone out. Oh my gosh. I have thousands of contacts in my cell phone. I almost forget that I know that many people. Pop it open and just see. You'll see hostess, and sometimes when you've been in this business long enough, you'll see a host and you'll be like in our area might be North Seattle host named Heather. And I'm like, I haven't done business with her for 3 years. How did she fall off my radar? You'll find him if you look through your contact list in your phone. Christmas card list. There's another list that you can refer to. The idea is you want to get as many names down as possible, and then you want to do a little bit of homework, not a lot, but just quickly, like, what is it about this person? They canceled on me last year, or they did an event, they were an event sponsor for me, or they looked at the business program, the business gifting and never took any action, or they sat down with me for a cocoa exchange or a cocoa chat and we never got anywhere with it. So just make yourself a little note so that you're mentally prepared for those phone calls. So make the list and do a little homework on each person that you're going to reach out to. Make sense? Okay, so that is step number 3. And then 4 is planning your approach. So exactly what is it that I'm going to say to each of them? You guys have all 4 steps? Pretty simple, right? The 4th step is what we're going to go into now. So the 4th step is be prepared with what you're going to say. And that doesn't matter if it's a text or a voice call or whatever, you need to be prepared with what you're going to say. So I'm going to take you guys through what I refer to as a 4-point call. I used to take an index card literally and put the 4 points on an index card. So no matter where I was, because I was, contacting people left and right because I didn't want to be in my office that whole entire time. I wanted to get in and get out, right? So I would have those 4 points on an index card or a piece of paper, and I would just refer to it. It's boom, 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 boom. It's a 4-point call. Literally, I can do it in 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds if I have them on the phone. A couple of text exchange really quickly, 4-point call. You guys ready to launch into that? Okay, I'm telling you, it's a tried and true approach, so it will work. Before we do that, I actually want to mention a couple things that I actually shared with the leaders. A couple things to do and not to do before we launch into the 4-point call. Things not to do. Don't go out there and post generically to Facebook. So what does that mean? That means something like, hey, I'm looking for people to do double host credit month with me in the month of January. Who's up for a PM me? That's like making a broad invitation that no one personally feels invited to, and you've already put all the information out there, so then when you go to contact people, they already know what you're looking for. So don't do generic. I mean, generic posts are great, but don't do generic offerings that you need to do personally. Okay, so you don't want to do that. The next one is don't leave a voicemail or a text message that says everything. So I'm going to give you, again, 4 points that you're going to cover, but if you cover all those things in a text message, they have no reason to get back to you. 0 reason, because I already know what you're referring to, right? You'd be amazed. I was coaching a top leader less than 6 months ago, and she was telling me, hey, nobody's getting back to me. I don't know what the deal is. Something's going on. And I was like, well, hey, tell me what you say when you reach out. So she literally sent me a copy of a screenshot of her text, and literally everything that she would share once she had permission to share it was in that text. So don't give too much information. It's going to be something like, hey, this is Heather, met you at whatever the reference point is. Jennifer, do you have a quick second? I just need like 90 seconds of your time. I want to talk to you about something. Or if I'm leaving a voicemail, I'll say something like, hey, Emily, it's Heather from the Cocoa Exchange. I just have something really quick to run by you. Give me a call when you get a chance. If not, I'll give you a call back this Friday. Okay, so you're just doing a quick reach out. You're trying to hook them into having a conversation with you. And I say hook because you guys have heard the analogy, and if you haven't, I'll share it just briefly. You never want to hunt anyone down. That's that pushiness, right? But you do want to sort of throw some bait out there and see if you can reel someone in to get some more information, right? So we got to think about it sort of as a fishing, not a hunting expedition. We're just fishing for leads. We're not hunting people down, okay? So leaving brief messages piques people's curiosity, and the likelihood that you'll connect gets much greater. The other thing is, and I just covered it, never leave it in their hands to get back to you. Again, it's a basic skill, but so many people do it. So if you leave a message and it just says, hey, Brenda, it's Heather. Could you call me back when you get a second? I have something really exciting to talk to you about. And then Brenda doesn't call me back. I sort of am sitting there and I'm stuck. But if I say, hey, Brenda, it's Heather. I have something really exciting to talk to you about. Give me a call back as soon as you can. If not, and you're busy, no problem. I'll be available this weekend and we'll give you another call. Okay, so I'm leaving it in my hands. It's my business. I'm going to drive this always. And when I call her this weekend, which by the way, I schedule it for consistency. When I call this weekend, I'm simply going to say, hey, Brenda, it's Heather. I am just following up as promised. Looks like you're still busy. If you have a minute this weekend, give me a call. If not, I'll be doing another reach out on Wednesday. Okay, so again, I'm leaving myself completely in the driver's seat. I never want them to feel funny when I do finally reach out to them that they never got back to me, because I've already left it in my hands, my responsibility. Some direct sellers will reach out until they get a connection. For me personally, I do 3 of them. And if I don't get a response back within, a week and a half, 2 weeks, and 3 reach outs for that person, then I'll say something like, hey, Jennifer, clearly you're as busy as I am. No problem whatsoever. We have a brand new catalog. This is a text message or voicemail. Brand new catalog coming out in March. So I'm going to check back with you at the end of February and see if it's a better time. Okay, so I'm leaving it. Once again, it's always, always, always on my end for the follow-up, not on theirs. So those are things not to do. Don't leave it in their hands. Don't leave really long, extreme messages with all the information, and don't do generic shout-outs on social media. Things to do, 4-point approach. Very, very simple. We're going to jump into that. Any questions so far, you guys? I'm a fast talker. Did you miss any points? I see some smiles. Smiles are good. Are you getting anything out of it? Yeah? 4-point call. You guys ready for it? All right. So here's your 4 points that you're going to talk about. And 4 points are important because it's not too long and it's not too short. If this feels like too much for you, then make it a 3-point call, right? If it feels too much that when you're doing your homework and it's a business lead, just narrow it down to the business piece. So here's the thing you're going to do. First of all, you're going to get permission. This is something that is like a pet peeve of mine. If you want to stay out of that pushy level, then you have to get permission to talk to people. I know that everybody texts these days, or most people do. So if you're texting, that's fine. I often will send a text and just ask, hey, do you have, Emily, do you have a little bit of time tonight where I can give you a quick call? I have something to run by you. Right, so I'm asking to get that voice connection because this is a relationship business and I would prefer the voice. Now, there are certain customers, doggone well, they're not going to get on the phone with you. So then you've got to do the relationship by a text, right? So again, that's part of your homework. Can I have a phone conversation with them, or does it need to be a text? How is this going to work out? But the first thing you want to do is just get permission. Can I give you a call really quick? Or even if I'm texting, I might say something like, hey, Karen, it's Heather. Do you have a quick second? Just something generic like that. And then they're going to respond to me. I don't launch into anything until I have their permission to share. I don't launch into anything. And oftentimes people are really honest. They'll be like, don't have time right now, but I might have some time later on today. Or just running out the door to pick up Johnny from basketball practice, but I could talk to you later on this evening, or I could text you when I get back, right? And then I'm not going to leave it in their hands. So I'm going to say, no problem. In fact, I'll text you after I'm done with dinner, right? So I'm leaving it in my hands. So the first thing is ask for permission. So then once I've got permission, I'm going to share these 4 points. The first one is, hey, I have an amazing special. What's our special that we're going to share about this week? What would the special be? The double host credit month, right? I have an amazing offer. Anybody that does a little bit of business with me can get twice as much free and half price products. I can fill your pantry up with twice as much stuff this month. This only happens once or twice a year, and you want to get in on it, right? That's the special that you're going to run by them. That's the special you're going to run by them. So point number 1 is you're going to talk about the special. Offer to let them host with you, okay? Point number 2 is offer the business. I asked on the manager call, and Jennifer can attest to this. I asked on the manager call, I said, how many of you, these are top leaders in our company, right? How many of you are comfortable going right to the business offer right there? And do you know that most of the managers sort of gave me the dead stare, like, right? They weren't sure. Like, how do you segue from, hey, do you have 2 minutes to talk to me, to, hey, do you want to be a host so that you can get all this amazing stuff at double the rate, to, hey, do you want to do business with me? How do you segue that way? Well, I'm going to give you some of my favorite verbiage. You guys ready for this? So when I talk to people, I know doggone well that I'm hitting them from left field. Right? So I've just asked for a few minutes of your time and asked if you wanted to book a party with me. And now I'm about to hit you from left field. So I'm going to just let them know I'm going to hit them from left field. In fact, I'm going to say something like, Jennifer, now this may be coming completely from left field, but I got to ask you, have you ever thought about doing something like I do? Or, Jennifer, this may be coming completely from left field, but have you ever thought about doing something that could add another $500,000 a month to your family income? Right? So it's a simple question. Or you say something like, hey, Emily, this may or may not apply to you. I have no idea, but I just have to ask you. Right? And so I'm just letting them know right up front, I am completely curious and I'm asking a question. I've shared this on other trainings before, but actually the brain can process a question so much faster than it can process a statement. So try and put it in a question form. Have you ever thought about? Right? And then if they're like, you know what, I can tell you were completely surprised by that. It's not a problem. I would love to just send you over some information and you could just take a look at it and see if we can check the fit here. Right? So I've offered to ask them, made the offer for the double host credit month. I've asked them from left field if there's any interest whatsoever in looking at the business model, not trying to sign them, just would you look at the business information, right? The third thing that I'm going to ask them is if they're, and this is typically how I'm just going to tell you right front, typically if 8 out of 10 are going to tell me no, probably 1 out of 10 might say yes for the business information. So my odds are not fantastic here, right? But if I'm consistent and persistently doing these activities, I will get results. So I've offered the booking. I've offered some business material. The third thing I'm going to do, because most likely a lot of them are going to give me 2 no's at this point, is I'm going to have a date on my calendar where I'm taking advantage of the double credit month. And I'm going to get together and say, I don't know, January 15th, January 20th for wine and chocolate or whatever it is that I'm going to do. So then I'm going to invite them to that. Right? So it might sound something like, hey, Jennifer, I totally hear you. I know January is not a good time for you. It sounds like you can't make that work. I hear you don't want the business information. I totally understand. If you can think of someone who might, let me know. But let me tell you this. I have an event happening on January 15th, and I'm inviting everyone over to take a look at some of the products that I absolutely love. Comes out. How's that sound? Okay, so I'm inviting them over to my event, right? The last step, which is the fourth step in a 4-point call. If I have gotten a no, or they say, you know, January 15th, I'm in Hawaii, out of town, not going to work, I'll say, hey, no problem whatsoever. Let me do this. Let me just make a note in my calendar if it's okay with you, and I'll just check back with you in the spring and see if it's a better time. Is that okay with you? So what's the offer? The offer is just to follow up. If I have received 3 no's in a row, almost never does someone tell me that I cannot follow up with them. Like we want to be helpful. By nature, we want to be helpful. So almost always a person will tell me that I can follow up with them, in which case I have to schedule that and do the follow-up. Okay? How many no's do you think you guys are going to get? Pretty good number, right? Pretty good number. But if you consistently and persistently do this with the right mindset over those 5 days, and you reach out to say, I don't know, 10 people a day, 20 people a day, you will create success in your business, and you will have momentum in the 1st of January that you've never had before. And, you know, it's an interesting thing. I shared this with the leaders as well. If you want to get something you've never had before, you have to commit to doing something you've never done before. And I will tell you, most people that are not in the top leadership ranks don't do these activities. And that's exactly why, because they don't do the activities necessary to see the success. So by doing something this small with a small period of time, very focused activities, you can create a change in your business during that week. What questions do you guys have for me? Hi, Emily.
I kind of have, I don't know if it's like a question, it's kind of a broad question. So I'm not like, sorry. In my business, I'm not looking to like advance. I'm not looking to have a huge business. My husband and I talked about it before I joined with Amy, and I'm looking for like 2 parties a month.
Okay.
Up to 4 max was our agreement.
Okay.
And I feel like all of the training and stuff is always, obviously, because most people want the big stuff, is always very focused on like, you know, lots of people and lots of contacts and lots of parties. And I just feel like I don't know how to scale that down for my situation.
That's a great question, Emily. So let me say to you right up front, this business is absolutely for someone that wants to do 2-4 parties max per month, right? So your 4-point call then becomes a 3-point call.
Okay.
That's all it is. Your first one is the special, right? Your second one is your own open house or event that you're already working. And your third one is permission to do follow-up. That's all that is. Okay. So you've now gone to a 3-point call. And let's say you've got 4 bookings already in the month of January. You skip step 1 and you just go to 2 and 4.
Okay.
4. How about that? I can't count. Does that make sense? So remember, so consistency is what you want it to be. So if you want to consistently do 4 parties a month and you don't have that, then hit it this week at maybe 15 minutes a day, 3 days that week, right? You can absolutely tailor this. So that's a great question. But if you want to get big, grow big, there's your recipe for success. However, you tailor it to how it fits your business.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for bringing that up.
And the great thing is that we control our own calendar. So when you're making your calls, you pick out the dates that you can work, and you say,
Right.
Hey, I have these dates available. Can I pencil you in for one of these dates?
Yeah, that's something that I struggle with, because I don't have like, oh, these 4 dates I can do. I have like, well, I can do pretty much any time, but only 4 times. So I know that I have to.
Well, no, you just you
tiny,
need to give them a date. And usually whenever you do that, they'll pick one of those days. And that way your calendar's full, so you can go to the next month. So you can make it ahead of time.
That's something I struggle with.
And I would literally, before a month starts, Emily, I would have probably 6 dates available that I would work with.
Absolutely.
Right?
For cancellation.
And those are the 6 days I'm going to drive people to. And if you've got flexibility, then offer them all over the map. Have a Saturday morning, have a Thursday afternoon, have whatever you want, but you control those 6 days. Once you've got 4 filled, you cross off the other 2 and move on to the next month. Okay. It's pretty simple. Yeah.
Thank you.
I always did 8 to 10 parties a month. So on I love a written calendar. Every month I'd have, those 4 dates, or I'd actually have the check marks there. And then once I got to my 10, it didn't matter if I still had open spots. I'd cross it and move to the next month. I was full.
Awesome.
Absolutely works. Yeah, you're welcome. No other questions? How comfortable are we with a 4-point call? You got it.
I think it's a great structure. I mean, just to keep that right in front of you with your index card, like you said, it makes it so easy, just.
Yep.
Of course, it's going to be, a learning curve for everybody. So until we get comfortable with it and the word choices, and I will post this call on the Team Mad page for everybody to be able to listen to. I just don't like to record them all the time, because I like for us to all come together. But just to hear the verbiage over and over again that Heather shared, I'll definitely post that so that we can hear it and be more comfortable with it, so that we can fill our calendars.
And you might have verbiage that works. And if you do, share it, share it with your accountability partner, share it on the page. If there's something that works for you that you've gotten comfortable with, that's more your personality, use your verbiage. I'm just saying that's what I like to do.
Can we get some examples of verbiage?
Yeah.
And then we can tailor it to our own personalities?
Do you want multiple people's verbiage when they call?
No, well, I just want examples of what people say, and then I can tailor it to what I want it to say.
Yeah.
I can pull some stuff out of my, I have a couple of files of verbiage when making calls from like past parties and vendor events and things like that. I can definitely post some of those samples also. And I'll just start it right under the recording and everybody else can jump in. Don't let it just be me. I'm not the only one that has ideas. I know that we have a lot of great business heads with us and here, and so we can all empower each other and share, because what I might say one way might not connect with somebody, but somebody else might say it a different way and it's going to connect and resonate. So definitely don't be shy and don't think that you're going to mess up by sharing your idea. We want to hear what you say, so make sure you share also underneath that, under the recording, so we can hear everybody's verbiage and ideas.
Can I give one more tip, Jennifer?
Yes, absolutely.
I was talking to someone at the home office yesterday, and they're working on a tool to help people when they get stuck. So someone throws a reason why they can't do, and I'd love to do a party, but I just can't, blah, blah, blah. And then they were looking to be able to provide specific verbiage that you could then say that would magically make a party happen, right? And I don't know if you guys have had this experience before, but there's no magical words that make something happen. But the answer to a question is almost always, and I'm actually training the leaders on this in February, so getting a preview. The answer to a question is almost always, a question or objection is another question, right? So if someone says to me, oh my gosh, that sounds so great, I'd love to get double the amount of credit, but I tell you what, I'm so booked in January, there's just no way that I can do it, right? In which case I'm going to say something like, well, tell me what you're busy with, right? Tell me a little bit about that. What's got you so busy on your calendar? Because you don't have enough information when someone says I'm too busy to know if you can actually still help them, right? If we can overcome that barrier or not, right? I'd love to, but I just can't. Well, tell me what's making you say you can't? What's holding you back, right? And I'm just saying it with a smile out of genuine curiosity. What's holding you back? Well, I've done this before and nobody showed up. You know what, Emily, if I could absolutely show you how to get people there, would you be willing to give it a try with me? Right? So you don't know when someone sends an objection your way, you don't know until you dig in and get a little more information. So there's not a magical thing you can say. So if you were making a 4-point call and someone sends an objection or a concern your way, ask yourself, what question can I ask? What question can I ask? And you know what, here's the other thing. Take a second to think about it, because she's not on the other side going, why are you not talking? It happens so fast that our brains start thinking, oh my gosh, I have nothing to say. But the reality is, tell me a little bit more about that is a great question. Tell me a little bit more about that, right? My house is too small. Tell me a little bit more about that. What makes you think it's too small? Well, I can only fit 10 people in at a time. Let's have a party with 6. It's not a problem. Tell me a little bit more than that about that is a great question to ask. Okay. It's actually more of a statement, but hey.
Right.
So
another fun thing that I like to say is, who doesn't love chocolate? And most of the people are just like, agree. Well, yeah, that's true. So that usually works well for me.
Who doesn't love chocolate? That's a great question, right? Who doesn't love chocolate?
Awesome.
All right. 4-point calls. 15 minutes, half hour. Emily, you got a 3-point call. Anybody else that's in Emily's situation, doesn't want to build a team, just want to do some side sales, you two have a 3-point call. If you want to build a team, you got a 4-point call. Sound good? All right. Hey, I actually am a member of Team Mad, or not a member. I am an honorary member of your Facebook page. So if there's a question that comes up, or let's just say you start making a few phone calls and you're like, I'm stuck, post the question. And either myself, Jennifer, or someone else on here that's experienced it will answer. So don't stay stuck. Reach out and we'll help.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Is there a better time, do you think, as far as making those calls?
That's a great question. My experience with Sunday afternoons were always good, but that's not going to help you across a 5-point day, right? Today's day and age, what is it? What is the statistic? It's like 94% of texts are read within 5 minutes. So if it were me, I would tell you to drive your phone calls just like Emily. I encouraged Emily to drive her schedule. So if I'm driving my phone calls and I'm sending out texts and I've set aside 9 a.m. to 9:30, then if they say it's not a good time, but I can talk later, then I would say, okay, when in my calendar could I make a point to call her back later or text her back later? That's what I would do. I would drive it to when I can do it. As long as you're not doing before 9 a.m. or after 9 p.m., you're safe.
9 to 9, okay.
Yeah.
And then can you go over again the points that we should not be doing? So I have about not making a general Facebook post, long text or voicemails, just, keep it
So
short.
I'm gonna keep it really short. It's gonna be generic postings, okay? And when I say generic postings, I'm talking about generic offerings. Generic offerings, giving all the information in a text or voicemail. Don't do that. And the third one is never leave it up to them to get back to you. Let them, tell them you'd love for them to get back to you, but in the situation that they're busy, it's okay because I'm going to get a hold of you on XYZ date. Again, whatever time's best for you.
And you said you give 3.
I personally give 3. I don't know, Jennifer, do you give more than 3?
I do 3 also.
Yeah. I don't want to ever be pushy. I don't ever.
Yeah.
I'm really careful about you guys see me do this in the call when I'm training. I literally do that when I talk to people. I put my hands up sort of in a surrender, right? Like I just don't. And I don't ever want to go into the grocery store and be picking out some nice apples and look across the produce section to have someone move their buggy to get away from me, right? Like I don't want people to see me and run. And I have been tracked down by other direct sellers and I see them and I run. So I don't want to be that person, right? So it's okay. And in fact, that third call is really all about letting them off the hook. Let them off the hook. I've reached out 3 times. They weren't able to call me back. So I'm going to let you off the hook and I'm going to check back with you next catalog or this summer or whatever the time frame is.
And I even say something like that on that final call. I'll say, I'm like, promise you, I am not stalking you. I am not pushing you. I am just trying to offer you something awesome that I know that you were excited about. I promise you, I will follow up with you, like you said, Heather, whenever our next catalog comes out, because I don't want you to miss out again. Just leave that door open so that and they always, 9 times out of 10, whenever I say, I promise you, I'm not stalking you, I'm not trying to push you, and I laugh about it when I'm leaving that message, or if I'm typing an email, they will call me back. They're like, "Girl, I am so sorry. That's what I am so sorry. I know you're not stalking me. I know you're just trying to give me information. I know that I told you to call me. But whenever you make it fun and something like that, when that last, they normally will respond because it finally got their attention. So that's what I found.
Thank you.
And you have to find your voice too. Like I like humor. Some people just prefer to stay more professional. Some people just don't like to use a lot of words. Whatever works for you, do it. Use your voice.
So Heather, what if you've got someone that you've talked to a couple times already and they're like, not now, not now? How much time do you give them if you've already done the 3 and you kind of want to revisit?
Well, it would depend on the person and how much I really want to do business with them. I typically will go, like if I haven't heard from, if they've said no, not now, if they've literally given me those words, I'll ask permission to follow up. And I might say new catalog or summertime at this point. If it's just the 3rd phone call I've tried to reach out to them, then I'm definitely going to make a note to call back at the end of February, beginning of March when the new catalog comes out.
So a couple months.
Yeah, a couple months. Mm-hmm.
I actually just reached out to somebody during the call, and it's somebody I haven't reached out to in about 4 months that had told me not now. And she wrote back to me and said, now is a perfect time and that she will give me a date tomorrow. So
Excellent. Excellent. So, you know, again, along those same lines, Katie, I would say that's awesome. Great. Check your calendar and let me know tomorrow. If I don't hear back from you, I'm going to call you on.
right. Oh, and I did. I texted her back. I said, if I don't hear from you, I'll get back with you on Wednesday. You know.
Yeah. If you get busy and forget, that's another thing you can say. If you get busy and forget, no worries. I'll check back with you on Friday.
So.
Good job, Katie. All right. Do you guys understand that whole mindset piece too? Do you see how like going through these calls, it could be like, ugh, or let's just say we personally mess up. Always start with someone that start. This is my thing. People are always like, start with your warmest leads. No. Start with your coldest leads. Get your nose out of the way, right? Like if I'm going to stumble across my 4 points, do it with people I really don't think I'm going to land anyway. So I always like, hey, start with the coldest ones, give myself a few warm-ups and then get going, right? So it's just a mindset thing. It's whatever works for you, but that's how I like to approach it. You guys are set. If you want to let me know if you have more questions, you can always let me know later.
All right, we can also tag you in Team Mad
Yes.
as well. Thank you for all your wealth of knowledge that you've shared with us, because I knew that when we were on the call, on the leadership call, that you would have, you know, it would benefit everybody. So, and hearing it from me and versus hearing it from you, the expert, you know, with deliverance, you know, it would, I just knew that it would resonate so much more. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us.
Awesome. I'll drop off the call and you guys can wrap up. How's that?
Well, thanks so much. Have a great night, Heather.
Okay, bye. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, thanks for joining.
Heather.
Thanks everybody for joining us tonight, and I hope that y'all took some great notes. And I will post the link on Team Mad to the call so that we can all benefit and listen again and again to the verbiage that Heather used, because like I said, she's a great facilitator and she has a wealth of knowledge for sharing, you know, her verbiage with us. So definitely take advantage of it and make the most of your January calendar and kick off 2018, you know, out of the gate and running. You know, it's going to be a great year. I know that the advisory council is working hard to make lots of changes that are going to greatly impact all of our businesses. So I can't wait to see all the changes come to fruition for all of us to take our business to the next level in 2018. So thanks again for joining us. Does anybody else have anything before we end the call? Well, thank y'all. And whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever you choose to do this holiday season, I wish you all the best. Happy holidays and be safe. And if you're traveling, please be safe. And I wish you all the best. And I'm looking forward to locking arms with all of you and making 2018 super sweet. So y'all have a great evening, everybody. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Night.
Thanks, Jennifer.